Hey, it's Drybear. Another day of Q&A for TF Day. The First Descendant is on its way. We're moving towards season 3 right now, but the Q&A, which is technically closing or closed by now, but there's so much to cover. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. So we're gonna continue where we left off on the Q&A and just kind of looked at all things TFD today. However, kind of interesting, let's check in on the Steam top sellers today. Claire Obscure, Expedition 33 at number 1, Oblivion at number 2, so holding it down. Indie devs like Schedule 1 in number 5. However, for the First Descendant, or the First Descendant, you could say, is now up to 39. Just kind of checking to see how those Academy skins are doing. It jumped up 34 places on the revenue sales on Steam only. It doesn't include console, of course, but on Steam only jumped up 34 places, which means that a lot of people are buying and spending money on Caliber in order to get the new Academy skins or prep for Season 3. So they are still selling the, the extra little bit. Did I even get this on screen? Lol. 34 here. So yeah, we got this kind of set up 34 on the list. Rank up to 39. So pretty good, which means it's working. They're still making money, that sort of thing. So that's kind of good. Hopefully that funds more seasonal development. Jumping into the Q&A, something that has been coming up pretty regularly, it's even coming up in my streams and stuff too, is just, can we get a role-based system? This has been like an argument in TFD since the, honestly, since the beta of just like, should this be more like Destiny with raids and MMO mechanics? Should this be more like Warframe where anything goes, and how are they going to approach it? So the question came up again, right now, it seems like we're moving into the run and gun hack and slash style, which does not incentivize team comps or roles. So how do we make these support Descendants viable? Obviously, the buffs that you can get from Enzo are still very good. The buffs that you can get from Luna are still very good. They're just not really as necessary, especially since Serena kind of deletes anything on screen that gets in front of her. So their response from the director was, the development team also considers preserving the identity of support Descendants to be very important. However, with the current relatively low content difficulty, opportunities for support Descendants to stand out have decreased. This is true, which has led to pressure for them to take on damage dealing roles like Luna AoE, or now we're getting like Enzo rocket builds and stuff. We believe that to allow support Descendants to fully realize their value, it is necessary to provide content where party play at an appropriate difficulty level can be enjoyed. Also true, and by the way, we also did get a Leopard grenade build for Void Erosion Purge when playing in groups, which is good. Separately, since Descendants can modify their skills through the Transcendent modules, we aim to support Descendants in enjoying gameplay as damage dealers if they wish, while also providing Transcendent modules that enable them to fully focus on their support roles when desired. And there are some that do this. You do like Pure Tank Inez or Pure Tank Absorption Freyna and things like that, which give you those different options. Really, I think the core problem is partly what the director mentions here, which is the difficulty doesn't warrant team play and cooperation and coordination, because everyone can just delete everything pretty straightforward. It's also kind of a moot point. Like I said, if Inez or Serena exist the way that they do, having to swap just doesn't make any sense because they just delete everything before it even has a chance to fight back. And then the other problem is really just a problem of encounter design. And this is true across all of TFD. Realistically, whether if you need to actually do damage to the target, there's a question of like, could I invest in more defense or should I invest in more damage? And in almost every possible situation for TFD, the answer is almost always more damage, which means that you could do a 2 or 3 minute Abyss Colossi with proper defense, or you could just go all in on offense and try to kill him in under 5 seconds so that you end the fight and then none of the mechanics matter. So it's kind of always been the case for TFD where just more damage is the only answer. And they would really need to kind of focus not just on difficulty, but also in the design of the encounters themselves to encourage team play, or even just create team play modes that matter most for that. They're on the way with that by adding the challenge mode for Void Erosion Purge, but it's not really the full way there, right? Because it's a one-time bonus, it's not farmable really, and you need a team for it anyways, which kind of just makes things kind of muddled. Next up was an interesting topic that's worth touching on, but people had been asking about the, character development, the backstory, and a lot of people are enjoying having Descendant stories with full cutscenes and things like that. So people really like the Bunny story, they really like the Freyna story. Now we have Blair and we have Sharon as well, and people are super into that, so they're asking, can we get more? Can you spend more time developing the character and backstory and the the intimacy level that we have with the Descendants? And the response was, for Descendant Stories, we're currently focusing on Descendants who have not yet had their stories released. However, once the full rotation is complete, so once every Descendant in the game has a Descendant story, they will consider revisiting previous characters to expand upon their story. But if they're constantly adding new Descendants and new stories at the same time, it may be a while before they can circle back again. They have all the XY chromosome characters in the game that have been they're all at like a Dwight Schrute "It Is Your Birthday" party, standing in the corner waiting for support. Although we did get Blair, I guess, this patch. But you have that kind of focus for them, which is interesting. And hopefully they can start adding dual stories where multiple characters get involved and you get connections that way, which I think would go a long way in a character-based story game. But this is definitely one of the better parts of the game, and I think a lot of people do enjoy the character stories. Next, there's a question on the medal system and if they're adding more medals, and also around adjusting the existing ones. Some of them are just ridiculous in their requirements. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like the people that put the shop requirements, the price requirements, the progression requirements, material requirements, as well as the quests and medal requirements, I feel like some of those people don't play the game, because it's I don't know how you can expect any player to meet these requirements, but they are coming down on some of the medals, and they also respond with, we are currently preparing to add new medals that aren't currently in the game. While we have not considered a broad reduction of medal acquisition requirements, we are discussing the possibility of easing the requirements for specifically Descendant module badge, which they are already kind of putting in for this question after it was answered. But yeah, just kind of have all Descendants and never put away any normal Descendants, which I don't know why anyone would ever do that. I guess if you wanted to play both the normal and ultimate version in any case. But yeah, so that's coming on the medal front. Next was kind of a one-off here. People were asked about just some of the situations we have here, as well as a very interesting problem. So we have the laundry mechanic, which is the vortex pulling enemies in, and obviously we have ways to trigger laundry and things that would react off laundry. Actually, currently I don't know if Valby can even trigger it anymore because she lost her vortex on her her laundry bomb. But a little bit of a one-off here. The director says that the reason the name laundry was chosen for the debuff is because it was for Valby, even though I think Lepic can trigger laundry, can't he? Or is it not considered laundry when he does his vortex? But they said that the reason laundry was chosen was because they were being playful, meaning that Valby soaks the enemies with water, effectively turning them into laundry. So before they were clothes, then they get wet from Valby, and then wet Valby makes them laundry. It was designed to match Valby's personality and the concept of her skills, so, not just a translation thing, they actually meant it. Another obligatory for TFD Q&A, but people asked about melee weapons. I think Warframe shows how cool melee weapons can be, especially at a game like this. It does have some animation requirements and a lot of new animations that need to be done for all the Descendants, but certainly nothing out of the ordinary. They asked about whether scythes, maces, greatswords, lances can be added to the game, and the director responds with, yeah, that sounds cool. However, the list of melee weapons I'm hoping for is a little different. So I guess two-handed and mazes and stuff, not really something that the director's looking for, and you can kind of imagine, I guess, what they are looking for. Daggers, small swords, short swords, I don't know. Or laser fists, claws, who knows? I wonder, he didn't really specify, he just said not those. Next up, there's a question about Valby Story, can we get to know Valby better? And the director responds with, do you remember that scene that we're seeing now of Valby sitting on the beach in the launch trailer, taking her helmet off and looking all sad and looking at the wind? She is a Descendant with so many stories we want to tell, and it sounds like they already know what Valby's story is supposed to be. But with her sitting on the beach, that sort of thing is a big part of it, and hopefully, even though we've got Ultimate Valby already, a Valby story development would be pretty cool. So maybe somewhere in the not too distant future, we'll get a little bit more backstory on this scene here and what Valby might be thinking in this moment. Next, another question showing the appetite that players have currently for more builds, more options, more combinations. But people have been asking, Kate, can we get potentially more slots on the weapons? Like the weapons having less slots total than the characters is something they would like to change, especially even with a Transcendent mod or something to get more expandability on that. And the response from the director was, we do not have plans to add Transcendent modules or expand to an 11th or 12th slot for weapons. Currently, the reason for operating multiple copies of the same weapon is more related to cores and option settings rather than modules, although we considered implementing a core preset feature. Due to structural and UX complexity, we decided to improve the system so that when crafting an ultimate weapon, it is created with the highest unique. So you can make a duplicate of the same weapon. It'll have the highest level and core unlock. So rather than having one weapon with multiple core setups, you can just have multiple weapons that have different core setups on that front. Another great question on this is, weapon cores kind of made the game take a really hard turn, invalidating some of the builds for characters, taking away some of the character identity, and also just removing some of the build strategies that some Descendants have. And the question asker says, well, what about Bunny, right? Like Bunny's thing used to be how fast she goes, but now that you can get crazy sprint speed and infinite airtime on your weapon cores, it kind of removes some of that for her. Although it does make some of the slower characters more accessible because of this. So what can be done about this is the question. The answer for the director is, it is true that weapon cores have led to a movement speed inflation that has diminished Bunny's unique appeal. However, many Descendants now have skills that increase movement speed. This was somewhat intentional, as in the past, Bunny would often arrive in the next battle area first and eliminate all the monsters before others could catch up. However, I also agree with the opinion that Bunny's identity should be further highlighted by making her speed of light ability feel more special. We will discuss further with the team on how to address this issue with simply reverting the past state. And then kind of, I guess, an open question to you guys is, obviously they wanted to, before we had a problem where only Bunny was clearing dungeons super fast, and now like a lot of Descendants have caught up. Is this a problem? Do you feel like this is a problem that should be addressed, or do you feel like the speed of Descendants has kind of hit a good point in the game right now? And the video is getting pretty long as it is, so I'll leave it there today. Let me know what you think about the latest on the Q&A dev responses on the game, the state of the game, and the future, and what you think about what's been discussed today. And also, are you looking forward to Season 3? Have you got all your characters built up, or what is it that you're currently doing in the game right now? If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.